Hey guys, it's me, Liv. Forgive me again for my half-done nails, but, since the nail salons by me are closed, this is what I look like until the rest of them finally fall off. But anyway, today I wanted to bring you part 2 of my what papers do I use with my alcohol markers. So I have 3 more different types of papers in my stash that I want to show you guys, just to give you guys some options of what to use and some pros and cons. So in the last video, I went over 3 others. This one, I'm going to go over. Let's start with this Cryogen White. I got this pack from Paper Temptress. They have a lot of different varieties of, I think 9 different other types of papers that are good for alcohol markers. So this first one is this Cryogen White, and forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. The next is from Kathleen Pooler. She came out with a white cardstock that is perfect for alcohol, so fabulous blending with alcohol markers. And it's ultra smooth. And then this one is Heavenly White Premium Ultra Smooth, also from the Paper Temptress website. So let's check these out. I can't say I really remember how much these have, because I bought these a long time ago in like a sampler pack to see. If I remember correctly, I think this package of 25 was probably about $7 or $8, if I remember correctly. The Kathleen Pooler, probably also in that price range as well. And so was the Ultra Red. So now the Kathleen Pooler and her set comes with 20 sheets. Now these other 2 sets came with 25. As you see, over time I have used a multitude of them. So I would say they all were roughly all about the same price. Now let's look at the color difference. Now I'm going to bring you guys a little bit closer so you can see what I mean. So one of the cool things about this Cryogen one, and I'm hoping you guys can see this, is that it has a tinge of a glitter in it. I'm just going to move my light a little bit so hopefully you guys can see it. Can you see that glitter tinge to it? Which I thought is amazing. It's not really it's not really a glitter that like comes off, but it shines. Very sparkly kind of paper. So very, very pretty. The next is the Kathleen Pooler, which does not have that. But if you can see these 2 papers side by side, you can see that they are definitely this one is a lot darker. It's almost, I would say, in that ivory type of color scheme. This is a much brighter white. And then finally, there is this Ultra White Ultra Smooth, which is actually darker than the Kathleen Pooler paper, but not that much so. It's a very mild variation. This one is definitely the darkest with that shimmer that it has there. So now I'm going to again do the same thing that I did in my last video, where I'm going to stamp the same image and use the same colors on it, so that we can't say like it's a variation of the colors that makes it pop a little bit more for this. So give me 1 second as I pull out my markers. So I'm going to use this stamp that I have in my stash from My Favorite Things. It is an a la mode stamp, and it is called You're My Cup of Tea. So let's stamp this one out. Again, I'm not really going to use my positioner. I can do it just fine here with my cushioned mat. I use whatever kind of tickles my fancy at that time. And let me get out my block. Now, as I have mentioned multiple times before, my ink of choice is Memento ink when I am stamping. Probably the next thing I have to order online is some more ink. I've heard that there are other good inks, and I think I'm going to give that a shot just to see, maybe in another video, which ones I want to use. But for right now, I want to stick with something I know works really well for me. So that is my first stamped image. And that was on the Cryogen White. Next, we're going to do the Kathleen Pooler. Now, if you're new to stamping, don't make the same mistake I'm making right now. It's just I can't find my other stamper. You don't actually want a block that's too big, because then you can run the mistake of getting ink all over here, which then gets on your sheet. So that's no good. I think I need just a little bit more. Either you can stamp on the opposite way like I was before, or get a better size block. Next time I have to be better prepared before my video to have them. And finally, I'm going to use the Heavenly White Ultra Smooth. And let's look at them. In terms of the black ink, I'm not really seeing any difference. I'm going to bring them a little bit closer to you guys. All of the images are pretty crisp. No concerns there with that at all. And I'm going for a bluish color, so I'm going to use just 3 colors here for, let's say, the main part of the dress here, which is B00, B02, and B04. Hopefully I'm in the camera angle. B00, B02, and B04 I'll use. So let's color up this one first. For those who have not watched any of my coloring videos before, I am a dark to light type of person when I do clothing. Skin is the only thing that I tend to do light to dark, but everything else I do dark to light, if that makes any sense. Looks like my BO2 is running out soon. Let's hope it makes it through this video for me. Now, if you are new to Copic markers or alcohol-based markers, you can find plenty of videos of why some choose one over the other. I personally love the brush tip. That is one of my favorite elements of the Copics, and I think there are other brands that use a brush tip. I also did love the fact that it's refillable, and some of them on the market are not. Though I am tad bit disappointed to see that the bigger refills are going out of style, and Copic is now making a much smaller refill size. That doesn't really necessarily match the price, because we're pretty much paying the same for less, which is unfortunate. Copics are not the most cost-effective of markers, but I do love the quality of the way they work, so I have no complaints on that. Sorry for the turning, it's just a little bit easier based on the angle that I'm at. Okay, there's that one, and then let's do this last one. And I'm not necessarily going for the award of perfection. It's just more just a sample one that I'm doing here, just to get a feel of how these papers work, of how the ink works on these different papers. Ta-da! There are those three. I'm just going to do the bottom of the dresses. I'm not really going to worry about the rest of it. So let's talk about what we're seeing here. So one of the things that I'm seeing here already is they actually did pretty good. I'm not going to count that because I know I went out the line. It's not really the paper. So the last video you saw, when I used one of the papers, I did see a lot of bleeding out, which I did not like. So that time it truly was hardest error, I guess you want to call it. So can't blame it here. There is a slight bit of bleeding out, and let's see if you guys can see it here on this very bottom. But this is actually easily correctable, so that's not a huge issue for me. And that is on the Cryogen White one. So now on the Kathleen Pooler, it actually did really well. I do like how the colors blended, and I think I like how the colors sit on top of this paper more. As well as this one really came out really good as well in terms of the blending. So one of the things that I mean the color sitting is when you flip your paper over and you look here, how much the paper is start seeping all the way through the back versus more staying on top of your paper. So you can kind of see the variations here, how this one definitely comes through. So that means it's going through more of the layers and you're not seeing that brightness really sit as much on top. Same with, but then you can see these two and how it really wasn't the same. Most of the paper is staying to the front side, which I think creates a much more vibrant image when you're coloring here. So right now, out of these ones, these two are the ones I prefer. I don't know if I've used the Heavenly White a lot, but this actually looks really, this one blended really well as well. So I do like, I would say I tend to go to both of these. These are all excellent choices though. I don't think that there's any huge difference besides maybe the vibrancy of the ink on here, but you can achieve that look here if you probably have to go back and do a whole nother layer of it to really get it to do what you want it to do. But that is just a brief overview. These all work really well with all the alcohol inks. So if you are interested in grabbing those, again, this is this Cryogen White, and I probably just said this 15 different ways throughout this video, from Paper Temptress, Kathleen Pooler. Don't remember exactly what site I got it from. It was either Kathleen Pooler's site herself, or maybe 7 Kids Craft Store is another place that I may have gotten it. And this is the Heavenly White Ultra Smooth from Paper Temptress. So I hope everyone enjoyed this, and this was helpful for anyone who may be out there shopping for papers. Also, go check out my other video that has 3 other choices, because there is one super cost-effective one in there for those who may be needing to craft on a budget. Okay, I hope everyone has a great night, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night, everyone.